The algorithms are changing.
The algorithms have changed and they're changing and they're never going to stop changing. But the algorithms are all about you now.
Not me, you.
Them. It's all about them. It's all about you. It's all about the user. What we're going to do in this episode is we're going to go through, what's happening in Google, what's happening on social, what's happening in paid, and just give you an idea of the things that you can do to really maximize the content that you're putting out there. Make sure that you're putting the right things out there that the platforms want to see and how they are then going to reward you.
Welcome back to another episode of CREview. I'm Josh. I'm here with Dill. And today we're talking about algorithms in 2026. So what have you seen to be the biggest shift happening across digital in 2026?
Well, I think it was happening a little bit in 2025.
2025.
It was happening in 2025, but it's going to be big in 2026, and it's all about retention. So the platforms want people to stay on. Look, this has always been the case. They want people to stay in the platforms for as long as possible, but now they're employing AI and specific algorithm shifts and changes to reward content that keeps people on their platforms. So always remember that this always goes back to share price. That's the way these guys work. The way that they
For the platforms.
Yeah. The way that they make money is by keeping people on their platforms so that they can sell more advertising to them. The more ads they sell, the more money they make, the more their share price goes up, the more they can beat all of the other competitors that are on this list, basically. People will consume more ads the longer they stay on the platform.
Yeah.
So the advertisers will spend more money knowing that this platform people spend 10 hours a day on it versus that platform that spends 5 hours a day. Now, if I'm an advertiser, I'm going to go with the platform where people are spending more time. The thing about 2026 algorithms is that they want brands and companies and people to create content that keeps people on their platforms. So everything that you do now, if you aren't doing it the way that their algorithm wants, you're not going to be doing well. Because it's not, there's so much content, they don't need your content. But if you do it the way that the algorithm wants you to, you're going to get rewarded by more engagement, more everything, right?
Yeah.
So
it's less about how much you post and more about how long you keep.
We'll go into those things. Yeah. There's things that you want to be doing. And so think of it that way. Like that's the big thing. It's all about share price. It's like retention now.
So let's talk about Google search. What's happening on that front?
So Google search is really all about answer engine optimization, AEO now, GEO, generative engine optimization. So everything here is about prioritizing content that is directly answering what people are asking Google. So if some people are trying to solve things with Google now, so questions in Google have become a lot longer, whereas you used to, maybe search something like how to open a retail store.
Yeah.
Now you're asking things like, how do I open a retail store in order to get the best tax benefits, etc. Blah blah blah. Right.
Yeah.
And
you're
Google
treating it like ChatGPT now.
Yeah. You are treating, because you're going to get that AEO, you're going to get that answer, right? That AI answer. So that's how Google search is starting to work now. So you've got to think of that. But we were on a call with Google the other day, and they gave us a stat that in 2025, 18% of all searches on Google were brand new. Think about that. Think about how many searches there have been on Google, okay, in the history of Google. 18% last year were brand new, never ever been searched for before.
So does that include, for example, let's say McDonald's in California? That's a search.
Yeah.
A brand new one could be McDonald's in California that has a drive-through and friendly staff. For example, that would be a brand new
long tail keywords, right?
Yeah.
They're getting longer. So that's what brand new would mean. So people are searching much more in depth now, and this is where we come to. So it's all about depth. So you've got to own, from a Google point of view, they're looking for more authority. So it's no longer good enough to just like be in retail. And you can be in retail, but if you want to get found, if you've got a specialty, part of your brokerage, try and like demonstrate that deep expertise in that in that industry or in that specialty that you do. So I'll give the example now, but so demonstrate deep knowledge of that topic, which is what Google wants. So it's not just about creating blogs with keywords, because it doesn't care about that anymore.
Keyword sticking.
You've got to be like, stop becoming an expert in that, and then covering that subject through like content as well. It's got to be multiple pieces of content.
Multimedia.
Exactly. So the idea now is that you're able to provide Google with depth to a topic, not just before you would Google McDonald's California and then a bunch of, very generic things would come up.
Yeah.
Everything's a lot more, again, personalized. Like you want that personal experience. So it's going to favor companies in commercial real estate that have got more knowledge on a subject. And we'll give you an example.
Same way like a recruiter would favor somebody with an extensive CV and multiple forms of proof of work and knowledge, as opposed to a one-pager with
it's like
computer literacy. And you're like, cool, cool. What about it? So give me more. I value that more.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm going to put you at the top of the list.
Yeah. So an example would be, instead of trying to rank for retail space for lease, okay, what you want to start thinking about doing, and I'm going to use this example throughout, but we're going to use Phoenix as an example, like the area. Okay, so when you add the geographic location, it's a huge advantage for commercial real estate firms because you're competing against way fewer companies. You're competing against the other firms in Phoenix. Now so that's already an advantage. But now if you take it one step further and you start connecting different things to that. So on your website, you've got, Phoenix retail leasing trends. You've got, this town versus this town in Phoenix from a shift. Like these are the shifts that we're seeing. You've got a piece of content that's talking about vacancy rates in Scottsdale. You've got a piece of content that is showing what national brands are entering Arizona. So you're starting to create deep subject knowledge around retail leasing space in Phoenix. So Google is going to start rewarding that. So instead of just trying to go, we do retail leasing space. Actually, we do retail leasing space in Phoenix at a very deep level. We know all of these things about it. Check it out. Like, these are really cool. You can share them on social, YouTube, video, blah, blah, blah. I'll keep that example going throughout this so you can get an idea of how this all starts to work together and how much the algorithms are loving that type of content.
So we spoke a little bit about Instagram. Let's stick to social platforms. What are they rewarding now?
So just for clarity, with this episode, we're going out with a quick guide to algorithm changes in 2026 that you can download from our website. If you follow the link in the description below. But that's going to go into a little bit more detail in terms of each of the platforms. So really, like if you want to go into a little bit more detail into each platform, we'll have that available. But what we're going to talk about now is the basic sort of shifts that are happening across the board on social platforms. And again, the big one is that predictive AI systems are basically controlling the algorithms now. So they are going to decide what shows up based on behavioral predictions, retention signals, and user satisfaction. So those are the big three things that these AI models and these AI algorithms are using within social media platforms. So how long someone stays on a post, how long they actually, like, even if they're not doing anything, their screen has stopped on that post.
Yeah.
Those are signals. That's analyzing your dwell time, right? Whether they're coming back to it later, if they're saving it, how they respond to it emotionally, whether they share it privately in DMs, that's a huge one, and whether the conversation around it is adding value. So the algorithms were never able to go to that depth before AI.
Yeah.
And now you can see what's happening. It can be so precise. And I think you've probably noticed it when you're when you're on your different social media platforms,
Yeah.
you're almost like, I don't like that content. I don't want to linger on it too long because it's going to show me more of it. I actually wrote it down. You're like, it's a little bit dramatic, but we're kind of being conditioned by the algorithms.
And we think we are also playing a role in the conditioning.
Yeah. So it's kind of this weird dynamic that's happening, but we are subconsciously creating our own algorithms for AI, for those
Black Mirror episode.
So weird, dude. It's happening, and so that's those are some of the things that are happening, and we'll go through I think 5 of the main shifts in social quickly.
So I mean, like, this is sounding like behavioral prediction. Like, what does that entail? Like, how are the algorithms monitoring our behavior?
The behavioral prediction is the algorithm basically predicting what it thinks you will value next in your feed. So your feed, it's there, but below your phone, if you had to think of it that way, there's kind of nothing there yet. It's
in the scroll.
Yes.
Damn.
Think about how weird that is.
Yeah.
Because based on how you behave is what it's going to start showing you next.
Sure.
Yeah. There's no predetermined feed.
There's no list that was already there. Remember back in the day, I felt like it used to be like...
Well, I mean, the way
it was like chronological.
Yes, it was chronological, right?
Who
So if you followed 50 people and that guy posted first, that guy posted last, you would see it in that order, which I really miss.
I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
The same way we used to look and be like, this is the best time to post because everyone's on their phone.
But having even said that, that is still a thing.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that, but that's more for TikTok and Instagram. But yeah, so behavioral prediction is a big thing that the AI is doing. And so the idea is that what people linger on, what they interact with, obviously, what they scroll past quickly, that is all taken into account. Okay, so what that basically means for you as a commercial real estate company is that if someone is consistently engaging with, retail insights or, leasing insights or whatever, the platform is going to keep showing them content like that.
The same way, someone watching this video, that, like, if they've made it this far, they're going to get more videos like this.
Yeah, exactly. As a company in commercial real estate, you want to keep creating more of that niche content and the consistency within that. So thinking about how is this going to be, add as much value and relevance that it's going to keep that person retained on that platform.
So these algorithms, they're in our heads, they're predicting our behaviors. What about, something like predictive search? How does that sort of come into play?
A lot of the, especially Instagram and TikTok now, basically, TikTok especially is a massive search engine, and so what that basically means is that when we're creating content for those channels, you want the content to be as descriptive as possible for the platform so that it can understand exactly what it is. Because basically, when people are typing in something that they're looking for a solution to something, the algorithms will predict the end of those queries immediately, right? And it'll start bringing up things. So if they start typing in space for lease in or commercial real estate in PH, you want the content that you've created to be indexed.
Yeah, you don't want it to be Philadelphia. You want it to be
Phoenix because you own Phoenix.
Yeah.
So predictive search is an important one, and that comes down to a little bit of behind the scenes work that you need to do. There's some technical stuff from the alt text that you add to images to transcripts of videos that you want to upload, making sure that titles and captions, etc., are saying the right things that are giving the platform enough information that they can then include it when someone's searching.
Surely also they would take into account how many people are searching that particular term.
Definitely.
And then be like, you might also be
this
one of those.
This is a very popular thing, so majority of people. But if those search terms get quite specific.
Have that in your content.
Yeah, as much as you can.
Yeah.
It's like there's no perfect science to this, but clear keyword captions, spoken insights in the video, and like repeated coverage of that topic is going to give you a good chance of getting brought up in the search results.
So we spoke about posting at the right time and, and how that was a thing of the past. But, the time still matters as much as the algorithm is this crazy sort of whirlwind. What is this first hour concept?
So this is something that's been happening for a little while on TikTok, but it's going to become more important. It's called first hour velocity, and it's essentially you have 60 minutes to make an impression on the platform. That's it's a bit of like a pitch, right?
Yeah.
You create
It's your elevator pitch.
It's your elevator pitch to TikTok,
Yeah.
or Instagram and TikTok particularly, and basically your piece of content, your video has got an hour to like go viral. So within that first hour, that's your litmus test. So if you have a very good piece of content, it drives early retention, people engage with it quickly, there's comments, there's shares, that distribution is going to skyrocket quickly. And because the algorithm is like, this is good, people like this, we're going to shoot it up to the top of the feed. If it isn't a good enough piece of content, that's not going to happen, and then you've kind of wasted a lot of time because not many people are going to see it. So it's very cutthroat. That's the world we're playing in now.
I think also just because it lives for such a small amount of time in that limelight when it's going around, that it's all like relative. It's like, what is this person's circle? How do they react to it? Cool. And then how do we like 10x that?
Yeah.
And that should perform the same sort of way.
And there's no perfect science. There are obviously things that you want to do. So like you want to post when the audience is active. That really matters. The content has to have a very strong hook in the first. They say 3 to 5 seconds. I personally believe it's the first 1 to 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I think people are just really experienced now with scrolling.
It's probably like milliseconds at this point.
Milliseconds. Like we're experienced, like humans are experienced scrollers now.
Yeah.
So for me, that hook has got to be in the first second. That's got to catch that audience that you want to watch that.
And if you're watching this and you disagree, think about the time where you're lying on your bed and you just sort of like doing that flicking motion.
Yeah.
It's that split
That's
second.
like less than a second a lot
yeah.
of the time.
It's like a trigger. We're pulling this
trends that you're looking for as well, I guess.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but if you're in that mindset, but
if you're openly just sort of scrolling, like it's so quick.
It's very fast, and that's what you're competing with again. So not making things easier.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that you actually want to use it as a bit of a testing environment, because you create a lot of video content and then you just get it out there and you keep refining based on which is doing better. And then, you're going to get 1 or 2 over the course of a few months that are going to get into that spiral where it just goes. And then that can last a while, that virality. But
yeah. So there was a time where carousels were big. Then video came in. They died out a little bit. Carousels are back.
Yeah, man. Carousels
The
are back.
return of the carousel. If you don't know what a carousel is, it's multiple images sort of like you scroll through.
Yeah, it's not the thing at the park where you ride the pony.
No. Why are they back?
Why are they back? Share price.
Retention.
It's as simple as that. They've realized that people spent longer on their platforms when they were flicking through carousels. So carousels are now back.
They're also kind of like a break as a user.
Yeah.
Kind of like a break from the
it's like you have a little bit of control over what's coming up in this video. You're like, it is a bit of a break.
It is, yeah.
I like a carousel.
I also do.
I like a carousel.
Especially when it's giving you information that's valuable and you can take something away from it. It feels like you having an educational or like informative break.
It's a nice thing to save as well, because you don't have to like listen to it with the flippin' sound blaring and wait till they get to this part of the video before you write that little nugget down.
It'll be like, this is what star signs will experience in February, and you scroll to find your one and you're like,
exactly.
And then you might
have to wait until like the 44th second of the video to like, oh, that's what they said about Capricorn.
You're dating someone, you go look at theirs, and then you're like,
that's worse than 44 seconds waiting to hear that crap.
And then you send it to them because now you've been on there for so long, you're like, I've taken something from it.
So that's about the platform. See extended engagement and retention. So that's it. Carousels are back. Think about it. It's a nice, easy kind of one to do as well.
The DM signal. What is that? What is the DM signal? The most important.
This
one
is the
you said.
most important of the social algorithm changes. The most important. If you're DMing someone a piece of content, it's the most important signal to the algorithm that this is great content.
Social proof.
It's social. If you get someone
It's referral.
it's exactly. If you get someone to send a piece of content to someone, you're gold in the algorithm's eyes. That it loves you. So that's the mindset you want to have when you're writing that little piece of content and you're thinking about what to say. Would someone DM this to someone?
Yeah.
That should be your mindset.
It's like when you go to a coffee shop and you get that Google pop-up where it's like, would you recommend this to this place to someone else? Or like, can't remember where that used to happen, but there would be little things like, would you recommend this? It might be like you go get your car serviced or things like that. Back in the day that used to happen. And now it's like, it's essentially you telling algorithms that you like recommend the content and they're like, okay, cool.
I love this. It's so good. I'm sending it to my friends. I'm sending it to a friend. I'm sending it to one of my groups.
You're doing the algorithm's work.
Yeah, it's what it wants.
Yeah.
The AI is lazy, man. It works hard, but it's also lazy. It wants to be told what to do.
It doesn't know absolutely everything. It doesn't know.
No.
They're not in your mind. They have their own sort of map of everyone's minds together, but they don't know exactly where you are.
No, they still treat you like a bit of a hive.
Yeah.
You know? And so, I mean, if you've created a really good piece on Phoenix retail trends, like who is that specific audience that you want to DM? Like you want them to send that to someone.
Especially if you are not at the phase where you are now searching and doing that active research, but we've spoken about it, at the water cooler or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, hey, this is what I was talking about.
Yes.
And now you're in it.
That's what you want. You want that. You want like, hey, this is the thing I was telling you about.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Now you're in the rabbit hole.
It's like, dude, you should have seen like the insights that like these retail insights for, Scottsdale. I couldn't believe it. Like we need to get on Scottsdale because it's all happening there, and that's kind of you want to create that feeling with your content. Like, I'm sorry, but no one really cares that Martha joined your team unless she's like obviously like a really big deal and she's come from whatever. But like, I don't care that it's someone's birthday. I don't care that it's like, National Pancake Day. Yeah. Like, don't waste your time and money on shit that people are not going to DM to someone else.
Where does paid media come into all of this?
If you can't do all of these things that we've mentioned to make the algorithm happy, just pay for it, man.
Yeah. It's the exact reason. It's the exact reason why if you type in paid media icon, you're going to see someone with a megaphone or a megaphone by itself.
Exactly.
Because it amplifies your voice.
Advertising is paid media. Paid media is how the share prices increase. Okay, so if you had to think of all of the algorithm organic stuff is like really important because it keeps the retention. Paid media is what pays the salaries of everyone at those platforms and makes the share price go up. So it's, if not more important to them than anything else, but to us, to the consumer, the user, it's less important, but still very effective.
It is a genius business model, if you think about it.
It's good.
It's hard to get into those algorithms, and it's competitive. But we've created that environment.
Yes.
And they make money off of the paid media, which the ads that we then pay for, because it is so hard that sometimes that's why you gotta do it.
Yes.
But no one has puppeteered that other than like algorithms just reading sort of behavioral patterns and all those things. So we have fostered this environment.
Yeah, we fostered the environment, and paid media works.
And it works.
It works so well. The things that are changing this year is that there's so much more automation in paid media now. So there's more AI in it.
Yeah.
So in the past, where it was very much like we would control the bidding structures and we would control like manually tweaking campaigns, etc. We can still do that. But Google, I mean, all the platforms have got AI enhanced campaign features now that basically they take over, and based on your objectives, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So there's way more automation in paid media now. Not to say that automation is always correct. You still it's so important that you've got a specialist keeping an eye on things because it can get out of hand.
Yeah.
But with AI, it's paid is way more sensitive to good creative again, so like good content. So now with AI and the algorithms, your ad creative will actually affect the cost that you start to pay. If your creative is poor and your content is poor, it's actually going to make you pay more for your results.
Damn.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's wild. Cool. So if your content and your creative is strong and it's relevant to your audience, you'll end up paying less per whatever your objective is. So that's a really big one. That's
huge.
Currently happening and is probably going to become more prevalent this year.
Where have you seen that?
Well, you'll see it a lot especially because it's very much a user experience thing now because of what we expect as users on platforms.
Yeah, it's not saying like this looks bad. It's like
the creative has got to create retention. It's got to do all of those things that we've just spoken about, right?
Yeah.
Like it's got to retain people. If it doesn't retain people, that means it's not good creative, that means that it's not going to be showing it to as many people, which means you're going to be paying more to reach.
Yeah, it's going to use more fuel. That rocket ship's going to need more fuel.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to cost you more for bad creative. That's basically what that means. And that goes through not just, I'll give you an example now, which is quite interesting from a commercial real estate point of view. But then there's the next thing which works within that is it's more experience driven. So it will prioritize people that are actively researching and actively showing buying signals. So this is I'll give you a CRE example, but this is very much from a B2C point of view. So it's not just about like, I'm going to put the job title and the age demographics, and then I can serve it to that audience. It will basically learn. It will predict, it will use user behavior, what your content is about, and it will push it out into feeds. And how people engage with it is how it starts to serve. It'll know, okay, that person is that type of person. I'm going to set, and that person really liked that. So I'm going to send it to more people like that. So it actively learns as it improves, which is wild. That's all AI. That's all algorithms. And that's also that they can get these share prices up. Like it all comes back to that because it's so smart now. Yeah. And then the final thing is that it's intent based. So let me go back to intent and the user experience a little bit. But if people go from your creative, from your paid ad to a landing page that is very confusing and there's nothing there, then it's not relevant to them and they bounce really, really quickly, that is also going to affect your paid media costs. So it's the whole user journey now. It's not just like, hey, this ad, I sent it to that audience. That's how it performed.
Yeah.
It's like this creative the creative wasn't great. The landing page experience wasn't great. So actually like the whole thing is underperformed.
This comes back to, I don't know when this was, maybe a year or two ago when we were starting to talk more and more about algorithms and AI and things. And we're like, UI, UX, that job is going to be a hot one to sort of get right.
We said this last year, and it's so cool that it's coming true because the user experience is becoming more important than ever because platforms and algorithms are so hyper-personalized. People want that when they get to a website.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be super, super hyper-personalized for them specifically, but they want the same experience when they're buying shoes on Nike.com versus looking at retail space on Crexy, LoopNet, or your website.
Yeah.
They want the same experience and they won't settle for less. If it's a bad experience, they're gone. They're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And now those user signals are filtering back into your paid media ads. So it is affecting that cost as well.
Sure.
So think about that. So you've got to think about the entire journey now. which is really interesting. And so I'll give you a commercial real estate example. So let's say you're a brokerage, you're running leasing ads. Okay, so you run an ad for retail space for lease in Phoenix. It's a generic homepage. It doesn't have like a very clear sub-market focus. It doesn't have tenant examples. It's got no data proof. You're going to pay more for that lead because the whole system is then going to basically break down, especially if the creative isn't good either. But if you've got a good piece of creative, it sends into a landing page that is Phoenix specific. It has like very clear insights into that market. It's got case studies from tenants that you've worked with. It's got really reliable market data, and it has, some foot traffic trends, etc. It's got a simple call to action. You're going to pay less and you're going to convert more of those leads. So that's how you want to sort of look at paid media now. There's a lot of automation from an AI point of view, and again, good creative content and a good user experience. It sounds like so much, right? And it is a lot of things to listen to in one video. But if you want the guide, so we've written a really quick guide, easy to understand. It's just a PDF that you can download. You can get it for free from the link in the description below. And it'll go into a little bit more detail into each of the platforms and the channels, and all these algorithm shifts that we've spoken about in the video today will all be in that PDF. So grab it in the link below.
So final takeaway, what are 3 things that I should take forward into 2026?
So if you're a commercial real estate company, the first thing is that you want to own a specific topic in a specific location. If you're a brokerage, that's amazing. But just owning a specific topic and having multiple like assets for that, like different types of content that show your deep knowledge of that topic. That's going to be really important for you and for the algorithms and the content you create. The second thing is creating that content that holds the attention, like we said earlier. Like if you don't think someone would DM this to someone else, is it the right piece of content? So holding that attention. And then everything must match. And what I mean by that is that the message, the experience, the intent behind the content, they all need to work together so that people keep that consistency. It's really good for the AI, for citations. It's really good for the algorithms. It shows that you have a deep understanding of subject matter. So those would be my 3 key takeaways. And always remember that these algorithms are built to increase the share price of those platforms. The way they make money is by selling more advertising the longer people spend on their channels.
It's wild. Like we're making other people rich. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.